Make a bucket list before you go. I looked up the area on Google Maps. You have to mentally prepare yourself for it to be awful. Getting plugged into your community there. First thing is your phone plan. Oh, the whole thing was so stressful. It's an Opal card. This last little tip is for the ladies. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For any of you who don't know who I am, my name's Laura, and I just got back a couple months ago from studying abroad in Australia. I've been home for actually almost about 6 months now, and I have a job. I graduated college and everything, so definitely had some time to reflect on my time since being abroad. And a lot of you have commented on my Australia videos, a lot of you have found me from my Australia videos, and have asked me quite a few questions in the comments about things and just for advice on going abroad. So I figured I'd make this video about tips that I have for anyone going abroad, especially to Australia, because I had a tough time finding students who were specifically going to Australia. I saw a lot of YouTube videos about different other countries, but I didn't see much about Australia and study abroad there. So let me start with a little backstory of where I went and the whole situation of how I ended up in Australia in the first place. So I did my semester abroad, my last semester of college. Also, if you see me looking off to the sides, because I have my laptop sitting here and I have some notes on it to make sure I don't forget anything. I did my last semester abroad in Australia, and I was on track to graduate college in 3.5 years because I was early. I did a lot of accelerated credits in high school, which put me ahead, and I still got to stay ahead even though I transferred schools and also did study abroad, so that was really nice. But I ended up picking Australia just because it's a place I've always wanted to go, and I never would have, if you asked me a couple years ago, would have never thought that I would have gone so soon. I realistically didn't think I'd be going till much later on in my life, but you know, life happens and I got the opportunity to go, so I took it. So the planning for the trip started in December of 2022. I planned that entire spring semester, and then I left for Australia in July. On July 10th, 2023 is when I left for Australia. So that was my window to plan the entire trip and to figure out as much as I needed to get there and to prepare myself for what to expect. So in the midst of that process, and I talked with my advisor and everything, our school partners with the University of Wollongong, which is where I ended up going. And Wollongong is about an hour south of Sydney, so it's in New South Wales. It's in more of a southern part of Australia, so it's not up in Queensland or anything, and not by the tropical things up there where everyone's like, oh, that's where all of the dangerous stuff is and everyone thinks you're gonna die. I also, when I did a bunch of my research before I went, I didn't find a lot of people on YouTube who could answer questions about the Sydney area and specifically Wollongong also, but that's also kind of hard to find somebody specifically that going to the school you're looking for. So that's why I decided I would film my trip going and do these little videos so that I could help you guys who are looking to go, because I had a million questions and I tried to prepare myself as best I could, but I didn't know anyone there. I've never met an Australian before I left. I really knew nothing other than this one YouTuber that I watch, and she's Australian. So I actually filmed a video of me going through the entire process starting in March, I think, is when the vlog started, and it went all the way till when I got my visa in May. If you want to watch that vlog, I'll post it up here and you can click to watch. But that just kind of went through my whole process of how things worked chronologically. So that's how I ended up at Wollongong. That's how I ended up picking Wollongong, and I didn't really have any other options from my school. So for my notes that I wrote down, I have 5 categories of things to kind of elaborate on just the things that I had questions about, and these are the first things that came to my mind that I would have liked to know. So my first category I'm going to get into is planning for your trip. Best thing I could say to do is do your research, and you must be because you're on my channel. So I looked up literally anything I could think of. I was asking around. I mean, it's not like I could really get much information around here, but my neighbor across the street at my old house, her daughter lived in Australia, so she gave us some information. We had some family who have traveled internationally and had friends that had gone to Australia, so I got to hear things through the what's it called? Through the grapevine. So I got to hear things through the grapevine about Australia, but I didn't really have anyone directly that I could ask. So I always wish that I had someone to ask to and ask questions. So please comment on this video if you have any questions about things, and I'll do my best to answer. And also all of the Aussies in the comments, I know I have a pretty strong Australian audience. You guys help each other out, because it would be nice to build a little community for all of the people going to Australia to be able to ask, because I just really wanted that before I left. Second thing going in with that is make a bucket list before you go of things that you want to do, things you want to see, things you want to experience. They have a lot of stuff there to cover. There's a lot of places you can go. I kind of got overwhelmed trying to figure all of like what's the best things to do, where are the best places to go, where should I be spending my breaks, because when you're there you want to make the most of every moment that you have, make use of your time. You don't want to just be sitting all the time in the same spot. I mean, some people do, I guess, but I really wanted to make the most of it because I was like, when else am I going to be living in Australia for 5 months? I didn't spend as much time making a bucket list as I probably should have, but I knew I had set things I wanted to do. I really just wanted to go and experience life there. I guess I can share some of the things that I did. The surf camp was definitely a big one. I really enjoyed learning how to surf there. I also went to the Blue Mountains by myself, really enjoyed that as well. I also went to the Great Barrier Reef, which that was like a whole plane trip because I had to take a 3-hour plane ride up to Queensland into Cairns, and then we went to Fitzroy Island with a friend that I met there. What else did I do? I did a lot of day trips because the train can kind of take you most places you want to go along the coast, but if you want to go inland, that's when it's a bit harder to travel by yourself. You will need to know somebody who can drive you around to those places. Most people are pretty friendly as well, and I'm sure you'll make friends that have no problem driving you around, because I also found that most people really like to show off their country and show you around, and they're very hospitable there. So yeah, those are just some of the things I did. I know I have plenty of things I would love to do if I go back, and when I go back, I will go back someday. I've already been thinking about it and planning when I can make that happen again. Other thing I would say to do is to research your cultural differences, especially if you're an American. Americans do not have the best stereotypes when you go abroad. A lot of people in the world do not think we are very educated, and we're pretty arrogant and ignorant, and to be fair, we usually are. So do as much research, educate yourself as much as you can. It's hard because there's not a lot out there. It was hard for me to find stuff to educate myself, and a lot of the videos that would pop up that I was looking for were just like, they were giving the same facts. They weren't giving these little details of things that I really wanted to know. But you'll learn eventually, and just try not to be arrogant, and don't go in with a I know everything mindset. Go in with an I'm hoping to learn things mindset, and you'll be fine. Another thing I did that really helped is I looked up the area on Google Maps. I went on Street View and I looked up my housing, I looked up the campus, and I walked through as much as I could in the area on the street of street maps on Google. It's so funny because as soon as I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks exactly like how it does on Google. It's like, wow, no kidding. But it's just weird because it obviously, like, that is exactly what it looks like. The Google cars drive right down the street and take photos and videos of everything around you. So make use of that, and definitely use that to your advantage, because you're not going to be able to get any perspective about that while you're across the world and you're just trying to figure out what the landscape looks like. The housing, I can recommend Wollongong. I really enjoyed living in Wollongong. Building 73 especially, that's one of the newer renovated buildings. Really enjoyed living there in a 4-bedroom unit. I also have a tour of my apartment, so if you want to watch that, I'll also link that. But that helped me a lot with deciding my housing and figuring out just what the overall feel was going to be before I got there. Because I did that, I saw that it was across the street from the Botanical Gardens, which I went to very, very often, and definitely recommend because it's super beautiful there. The other thing I would say to look up is to learn about the dangers of being by yourself and how to handle situations when you're by yourself. Obviously, this kind of goes with everyone traveling. Be aware of your surroundings. As my dad always says, keep your head on a swivel, and don't be ignorant. Always be watching your back. Watch your things that you have. I never experienced feeling unsafe when I was there. If anything, it was a couple times just because it was at night, and you naturally just feel more on edge at night and being by yourself. But I never was out by myself at night. I was usually with people whenever I was out. Yeah, but just keep your sense about you. Keep your wits about you. There's not really much that happens in Australia as far as crimes. Like, I think the crime rates are pretty low. Aussies in the comments, you can let me know if you have any advice on this for any solo travelers. Just because I didn't experience anything doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because I know that there was this big thing that just happened in Sydney that is very sad. So everyone just be on the lookout, watch your back, be aware of your surroundings, and you'll be okay. And I also just want to let you guys know that you will probably be walking a lot. I spent a lot of my time walking. It's my primary mode of transportation other than the bus and the train. I did walk to the beach a couple times. It's about a 40-minute walk from Wollongong. I think I also ran there a couple times maybe, I don't remember. But the bus takes you there as well, and that's free, which is really nice. It goes counterclockwise and it goes clockwise. They have 2 buses that will get you around the city. So you'll eventually learn the bus stops, but you can use Apple Maps to navigate that as well, which is really nice. Second thing I wanted to touch on was my travel tips for actually getting to the country. So as I'm sure you're aware, Australia is very far away. It is very far away from the rest of the world. It is in its own little corner. I'm from New York. It's literally half a world away. So the plane ride is a bit long, to say the least. It took me about 24 hours. I think that's the fastest you can get there from New York. So it's a very long travel commute. For me, I flew from JFK to LAX and I had a layover for about 10 hours, which I would definitely recommend before your 14-hour flight, because the flight from LA to Sydney is 14 hours. I didn't fly fancy or anything, was in like the most basic seat that you could get. I had a window seat, which I actually really liked. It was a red eye, so you're sleeping, the whole plane is dark. At least what I flew with Delta. They had screens on the back of the headrest, had movies, had snacks. They took very good care of us, so I would definitely recommend flying Delta. Really enjoyed that flight. So as far as that prepping for that plane ride, you have to mentally prepare yourself for it to be awful. I actually, looking back, it was not bad at all. So some things I did to prepare myself for it. I was expecting it to be the worst 14 hours of my life, and that's dramatic because it was actually quite nice. I also just didn't sleep the entire day because I wanted to sleep on the plane. That was also very helpful. And another thing I did was I played literally the entire Harry Potter series, like all the movies from beginning to end on the plane ride. I didn't watch all of them because I was asleep for most of them, but I think I was awake for 2 movies, so it was like between 4 to 6 hours I was actually awake, and that really made the time fly. So I honestly it was a pretty good plane ride. I was expecting it to be way worse. Yeah, but that's how I passed the time. I know other people have their own tricks for it, but that's how I did it. I did that on the way back as well. Played, I forget how many movies, because I didn't sleep as well on the way back. The way back was definitely worse, but it still wasn't even that bad because you're mentally preparing yourself for it to be awful. And also the reward on either side of it, the reward when you get there is you're in Australia. The reward when you leave is you get to go see your family. So both sides, I was like, I'm excited either way. Another packing tip, I would say, I watched this girl's YouTube video. I don't remember who it was, but she said to pack all your essentials in your carry-on. Do not put all of your essentials in your check-in, because most cases you're gonna lose your bag. And I was watching this girl's video as I was packing my suitcases, and I was like, oh, I bet I'll be fine. Like, it doesn't really happen to many people. It doesn't happen, like, it surely won't happen to me. And they lost my luggage, and I didn't get my checked bag and my guitar that I shipped. I didn't get it for like a week. I was living out of my checked bag for a week. I think I had like 2 pairs of shorts and like 1 pair of pants that was lasting me the entire week, with obviously shirts and things like that. So I wasn't gonna pack my carry-on as much as I did, and I'm so glad that I did. So definitely do that, because you never think it's gonna happen to you. There's a high chance that it will. And another travel tip I would say is use your AirPods. If you have earbuds or AirPods, headphones of any kind, use those with directions so you're not looking like a tourist when you're walking around. You'll have the directions in your ears telling you where to go. You can obviously like check your phone like you're checking a text message, but you don't want to be walking around with it in your face like you're lost, because then that just is a dead giveaway. That's like a little safety tip. That was something I did when I was first getting used to the surroundings there, and I would definitely recommend it, just so you look a little more incognito and less like you're a tourist. So my third thing is advice on getting plugged into your community there, because I know a lot of people are worried about making friends. It's so far away. You're going to be so far away from your family and your friends. Some advice I would give with getting plugged in is go to as many campus clubs and events that you can. I made most of my friends going to these clubs and getting involved with as many little things on campus as I could. I met my really strong group of friends. I met them through Frisbee/Bible study. It was on the same night, and I just kind of met all of them the same night, and I literally was just talking to them this morning. We still have kept in very good contact. Yeah, we had a lot of good times doing little things like that. So I did volleyball, Frisbee, Bible study, and then I also made friends from my music classes that I was doing, because we were in little groups for our bands and things like that, just because those were the electives I was taking when I was abroad. Another thing I would say is, as far as getting plugged into the community, make the most of your time. Try and go spend time out and about rather than being stuck in your room, which sometimes when you're feeling sad and lonely, you don't want to go socialize with people. You don't really want to go out of your room. You just want to like lay in your bed and be sad. But you have to push yourself sometimes to get out and to go meet people, or just go spend time around other people. You can even just go to the beach and go people watching. Just go take yourself for a little walk, take yourself to a cafe. I actually met some people at cafes as well. There was a really nice Australian woman who I ended up talking to, and now she follows me on Instagram. and I've chatted with her here and there. There's just nice people around. People like striking up conversation with you, especially if you're a study abroad student. So if you go to cafes regularly, if you go to a spot regularly and you start talking with the people who work there, or just people are going to get familiar with seeing you around, who rides the bus. You're just going to get familiar with people and you'll make friends. It's gonna work out. I also would say to push yourself, even though you get in little ruts sometimes of like, oh, I just want to lay in bed and watch Netflix. Push yourself to do something every day. You're gonna have moments when you're tired and you're not gonna be wanting to do things. You're gonna want to just chill because you're still doing school, you're still a student, you're still a human being, and you're gonna want rest and you're gonna want to just chill sometimes. But I made a conscious effort to get myself out of my room and out of my apartment every single day, to go for a walk, to go to the beach, to go watch a sunset, whatever it was, even if I wasn't, because you're not going to go travel every single day. That's just not realistic, unless if you were backpacking or something, which if you're studying abroad, you're not backpacking. Have a realistic mindset about it. Know that you're also going to have downtime. You're going to have a lot of chill time, but you're just in a new country, in a new space. You're going to have to just get used to those types of things, but don't get down about it. Get out and enjoy the country because it's so beautiful. Like, I would just take myself on a little walk to the botanical gardens when the sun's setting. No better vibe. Also to the lighthouse, because the lighthouse, in my opinion, was the best sunset spot you could go without a car. If you're a sunset watcher, go to the lighthouse. I don't know if I already said this, but don't be afraid to ask questions because people really enjoy, I think I did say this, people really enjoy explaining their culture and taking you around. They also like to joke with you a lot, so be prepared for that. You'll probably get messed with quite a bit, but it's just kind of part of their culture there. They're very fun and very sarcastic, which is nice because I'm also very sarcastic. So I got along well with a lot of people there. You'll be fine. So to close out the video, I have some random little facts that I thought would be useful for anyone going, things you may not have heard before because there were things I didn't hear about before. Anyone has any little questions about this, please comment them below. I will do my best to get back to you about these little things. First thing is your phone plan. You're gonna need a phone plan. You're gonna need a new data plan. I know there's different ways that abroad students do this. Some people get a new phone, some people just get a SIM card, some people do their international plan from their home country. I got a new SIM card and I paid a prepaid SIM card and put that in my phone that I had. So it got rid of my US number for the time I was there. You have to talk with your phone provider before you leave the country that's what you're doing, and you're gonna shut off your plan for however many months, and then when you go abroad, I paid like a certain amount of money for this prepaid SIM card. That was how much data I had until I used all of it, and then you either buy more or you go back home. So I was trying to spare my data as much as I could. When I was out, I tried to stay on Wi-Fi as much as I could, but I think I ended up having to pay more. I don't remember, honestly. That was just a funky little thing that I was confused about, and I used Telstra was my phone provider when I went there, and I didn't have any issues with them. I really liked it. I think I paid $160 or something for it. And also, when you go to activate your SIM card, you need your passport or some form of identification, which if you're an exchange student, it's probably going to be your passport. Also, the main reason why I was bringing up this phone plan thing, I almost forgot, was because when you first arrive and you're in customs and you just get off the plane, you can't access the Wi-Fi at the airport because you're not out of the terminal yet. And so I had a really big issue. So, here's a little story time. When I got off the plane, I went through customs. It was totally fine. Right after customs was baggage claim. So you get to baggage claim, and I was standing there waiting for my checked bags to get off the carousel. And like I said earlier, I didn't get them. They got lost in LA. I was standing there waiting for them. I had no way of contacting my ride, no way of contacting the shuttle service that was coming to pick me up. So, and I couldn't leave because I had to go through immigration. I don't remember what the second part was. I think it was immigration. It's your declarations and you declare what you're bringing in and stuff. Yeah, so I had that after. So once you leave, you can't come back. So I was like, I had to, the whole thing was so stressful. I've never been so stressed because I'm literally abroad, just got off I've just been traveling for 36 hours because my layover and everything. I get to a foreign country. I have no cell data to contact anyone that I landed, to tell anyone, because nobody had heard from me in 14 hours. So I couldn't contact anyone, couldn't contact my ride. My bags were lost. So I was waiting in line to file a claim for my bags and to file a case file. I don't remember what it's called, but you have to file something with the airline and you're like, hey, I lost my bags, essentially. And they give you this thing so you can call them and check in on your bags, and they give you this tracking number, and it's complicated. So I was waiting in this line, and of course there was other people in the line, so it was taking a really long time. I had no way to tell these other people that I was still coming. It was just very chaotic. It was a very chaotic like 30 minutes, but eventually I got that figured out. They gave me my little piece of paper that said to check in with them, and I literally called them every day for the next week. I went through immigration or whatever and declared whatever. I don't think I had to declare anything because it was just closed. But then you get out, and I was trying to find these people and I didn't know really where to go, so I was just kind of wandering until I found a big group of people, and I was literally the last one to show up. And he was like, "Yep, you're the last one." And I was like, "I'm so sorry," because I had no way of contacting anyone, and I still didn't, because I was planning on buying my SIM card in the airport, but I ended up not being able to do that because I was rushed. And so I didn't have any cell data for a couple days, and then once I got my SIM card, I didn't have my passport to activate it, so I had to activate it myself. It was this whole thing. So learn from my mistakes. Bring your passport if you're not going to get your SIM card at the airport. Also be aware that you will not be able to contact anyone immediately after you get off the plane. Unless if you pay for Wi-Fi, I guess, on the plane, which I didn't. We got through it. We lived to tell the tale, and I hope you guys can learn something from that. Other thing I was going to tell you guys is the public transport and like how that works. So I already kind of told you about the buses. I've mentioned them a couple times on this channel. There's a free bus. It's called 55A and 55C. 55A is the anti-clockwise one, and 55C is the clockwise one, which kind of helps you remember things. So for the trains, you have to get this thing called an Opal card. In New South Wales, you have an Opal card. And if you leave the state and you go to a different state, they have a different card. So it depends on where you are. And you basically put your money on that, and you tap it to get on the train, and it takes a charge off. It's basically a little debit card for getting on the train, and it gives you a discount instead of using your credit card, because your credit card has a higher charge. Also, I'm pretty sure that if you use your Opal card a certain amount of times in a day, there's like, it reaches a certain limit where it won't charge you after a certain amount per day. And if you're using your credit card, it obviously doesn't do that. So an Opal card's much better to use, and I know they have them. They sell them at the uni store, which is where I got mine. Actually, let me show you. This is what it looks like. It's an Opal card. This is what the back looks like. So you just tap this on the little, you'll see it, it's a little post thing. You just walk up, tap your card to it, and it'll let you on the train. That's how you deal with the trains. They also have an app for the trains, which I never used. I just used Apple Maps. But I know there's an app that other people use that's probably more reliable, because I think that they update that app more than they update Apple. So I'll put it on the screen somewhere. Yeah, but that also is helpful with navigating things, but I just relied on Apple Maps, and I was usually fine for the most part. You'll get used to it. This last little tip is for the ladies. For all the girls going abroad, all the girls going half a world away. Another thing, this is a little health related tip that I was unaware of. My period got thrown off so bad. I haven't talked about anything like this on my vlogs before, but my period got thrown off by like a couple weeks. It really freaked me out. Like, I felt so off. My body was just not doing well. Like, I just could tell that my body felt really off. So all the girls, be aware of that. Nobody talked about that before I went abroad. Nobody said anything about, you know, your body feeling off. Like, obviously everyone talks about jet lag, which the jet lag is real for like a couple days, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But my period, on the other hand, I was not expecting that. Just be aware of that. I just wanted to warn you because I had no idea. Nobody told me anything, and I was like, it has to be the time difference, has to be the jet lag. And I looked it up on Google, and it is. So that happens to a lot of women when they travel, crazy time differences and things like that, because it'll throw off your cycle and your hormones pretty bad. Yeah, that's just a little thing that I didn't know, and it's a little fun fact. So that being said, that was all my tips that I had for this video. I have plenty more, I'm sure, and if there's anything you guys want to know, please comment below, and I'll be more than happy to answer either in another video or I'll just respond in the comments. Yeah, if you guys want a part 2 to this, let me know. If you're new to the channel, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe because it's nice having you here. I hope you all are having a great week, and I will be sure to see you guys in the next one. Peace out!